has diminished slightly. But John, we'll move on to our next topic, and it's coming in from Cinema Blend. It's why the Five Bloods Delroy Lindo appreciated Chadwick Boseman on set. Now, we reviewed this film, John, last year, I should say. I'm saying this year. It was last year.
Yes.
But it was in the summer of last year we reviewed it. It was on Netflix, I'm sure.
Yep.
And thoroughly enjoyed it. But I'll just read this little caption here coming in from Delroy Lindo, and it's during an actors roundtable held by the Los Angeles Times. A group of actors, including Delroy Lindo,
I love those.
has the usual conversation you expect to happen around this time of year. Sadly, with Chadwick Boseman's untimely passing in 2020, part of that talk was reserved for how everyone present missed his presence, especially in the light of his luminary final performance delivery in the past year. But when it came to Lindo's recollections of working with his co-star on The Five Bloods, he recalled the following story as why he was so appreciative of his fellow actor, and the actor had this to say. The thing that I really valued enormously is the fact that Chadwick was open and welcoming to my son on set, which is indicative for me of the depth of his empathy. On top of that was the enormity and the magnitude of his talent. The very first scene that he worked on in the film with me was the scene that takes place at the end, when my character, come together at the stream. That was his first day at work. He and I had met very, very briefly for 5 or 10 minutes prior to our working on this scene, and he brought it. He was prepared, he was committed, he was in it. John, it's funny, looking back on the film, and I don't know if we mentioned it in the review or not, the chemistry between both actors. I always felt that they had spent some time together prior to shooting the film. There was just this chemistry between them. They knew each other. There was that look in their eye between both actors. Obviously, the performance is that convincing, you would believe that. But Chadwick Boseman in the film, he's barely in the film. Let's get that out there for anyone that's not seen the film. At that time, we didn't obviously know his medical condition either. But there's something about
I noticed the weight loss though.
The weight, yeah, John.
I thought
he
he'd
was
just
very
done it for the role because it was 70s,
for
it
the
was
role.
60s,
Yeah,
70s. It was Vietnam.
exactly.
That was the way
But there was
people were built
something.
back then.
There was something about both those actors' performances in that film, as brief as it was, so memorable and so believable as well. And bear in mind, for anyone that's not seen the film, the 5 actors, or 4 actors, sorry, if I'm counting it right,
4.
were older than obviously Chadwick Boseman's character. And when they did the flashback scenes, they didn't bother recasting. They used exactly the same actors for those scenes as well. And it worked. That's just the talent of the cast,
Steve,
to make you believe that. It did. It wasn't jarring, John. That was the most important thing.
It was a movie about post-traumatic stress. Delroy Lindo's character not getting over the loss of his friend and eating at him and haunting him. So for them to be older, it almost worked better for me in a way. And also, it could have been bad because they were older. It could have bogged down the action sequences, them being cumbersome and a little bit, dare I say, geriatric. They're not geriatric, I know, but it didn't. It worked really, really well. These guys were getting back older, wiser, grizzly, and they were finding their youth again with Storm and Norman appearing and sort of, I don't know, hallucinogenic scenes. I want to say borderline haunting them. And obviously, it's amazing. I didn't realise the chronology of how this movie was shot. And at that end sequence when he's almost like Jesus and the light's shining on him, and he has that meeting with the Delroy Lindo character, whose name I'm completely blanking on at the moment. It's been about a year since I watched it, to be fair.
Paul, I think it was.
Was it Paul?
Yeah.
That was a stupendous scene. So again, that just speaks volumes for the kind of actor that Chadwick Boseman was. He could go on the set, dealing with all of the shit he was dealing with, dying with this horrendous cancer, and he could deliver a performance like that, so authentic. Have that chemistry, as you says, and keep coming back and giving amazing performances day in, day out. And look, I say day in, day out. It probably wasn't day in, day out, because as you do allude to, he was in the movie in spurts. But I have to say, aside from Delroy Lindo, I think he was a standout in the movie. Unbelievable. Just his monologues, his speeches. About, I can't recall the actual speech, but he gave an amazing speech about we was the first to die for this country. We're taking the gold and stuff like that. It was an amazing speech, an amazing performance. all the more poignant now when you realise what the guy was going through, the bravery and the just incredible fortitude this guy had. Stain, I've been watching lots of videos recently. They've been bizarrely recommending me videos on YouTube of people swanning around his family graveside. He's got a family. The Bosemans have this huge graveyard thing, and then I've been getting recommended it. But again, it's still so hard to imagine this guy's gone, man. I mean, it's what, 4 months now, 5 months. It's incredible to imagine a guy with such vitality, such amazing, just humanitarian things and acting. This guy's gone. But as you can see, he left a touching legacy. You see it with Denzel, you see it with the people he impacted on, and now you're seeing it with Delroy Lindo. I hope Delroy gets the Oscar nod. I know it's coming up.
I was going to mention that next, John. I was going to ask, do you think there'll be a place for Chadwick Boseman in there as well?
I think that posthumously he may get some sort of honorary, if I can speak, award.
Recognition,
we've seen that before. We've seen honorary awards given to people who have sadly passed away. I think he could. I think he definitely deserves recognition, not just for his acting. The guy delivered time and again in every one of his movies. Fairly short career. All of his movies are standouts. They're all very different. Brave decisions, playing historical black figures and things like that.
Yeah.
But his humanitarian work and his work with the community stuff off the screen, just a great, great guy. He deserves some recognition. Delroy deserves a recognition as well. I've seen people speaking about various different movies. I was listening to it on the radio the other day. This guy deserves the Oscar for me, just for that performance. It was amazing. Yeah. Speaking to the camera.
It was emotional, John. Yeah, it was fantastic. Powerful. It was powerful. It really hit home, his performance. Just a very tragic figure. Yeah. A troubled man. His relationship with his on-screen son as well was complicated, to say the least. His relationship with the other guys as well. You could sense a sort of there's a resentment for others in the group that have probably progressed a little bit more successfully in life after the war. You can see that resentment in Paul's eyes, and he makes some comments very early on as well. It turns out that the guy that he's very resentful against hasn't got a dime. He's living off a credit card. He's in debt. And that's one of the reasons he goes back to retrieve the gold. But all these little side stories, John, which made that film so interesting to me. You've got that cast in there as well, and it's going to be very interesting to see when it comes round the Academy Awards how they will be honoured. But we're going to move on, John, to our final.